Hello, welcome one and all, welcome to my stream. I am PaladinAshe here to stream for you, and today I have a headache. I have a splitting headache, and literally just before stream did I find my fucking bottle of aspirin. I've been looking all over the house for about like 2 fucking hours, and it took me until literally right before stream to find it in a fucking like overnight bag that like I hadn't like fully unpacked in its entirety from like a couple of weeks back. So that's been my day so far. Again, hello, welcome one and all. I am PaladinAshe, and that's what I greet you with today. I am playing Satisfactory, and I will be hopefully getting things under wraps to... I'm not quite sure what. I am currently looking to drain the fucking swamp on this area. Did I turn those off? I did. So those are... Yeah, okay. Since this is all empty, I can probably safely break it down. Except for this. Ugh. Okay, so I'm gonna need to... The major problem with my plans here is that I do actively need to make sure that I'm storing some of this. Because I'm going to be actually, like, building up and building a bunch of shit. But I'm not exactly totally sure what I must do. First, let's, make with that. Let's break these down first. I think now would be a time. Hey, Chanka, how goes? I think now would be a time to crack into that sulfur node that I'm pretty sure is up to the southeast a bit, which is not typically referred to as up on a map, but still. Okay, now my headache goes away. Now my headache goes away. After like hours, me taking a lay down and finally finding my damn fucking aspirin, my headache's thinned out. I'm just like, are you kidding me? I just took it. I'm doing fine. I'm just making brownies for a work party I'm going to in a couple of hours. Nice! Standard brownies, galaxy brownies, chocolate chip, chocolate chunk, slutty brownies. Just to be clear, when I say slutty brownies, I'm not making shit up. That is, I think, also known as dirty brownies, and they're like I want to say they're like brownies and cheesecake. I first heard the term slutty brownies from my middle sister, who Aside from being, you know, having a doctorate, you know, is that type of personality. She's fun, but I haven't seen her in a few years because she's over in Berlin. Okay, that's the coal node. Where is the sulfur node? There's a sulfur node. I know that's near here. Aha! Bet it's an impure. Yeah, but I can still work with this. Yeah, I've seen like more than a few different variations on brownies or blondies, which are the kind of more vanilla flavored variant of brownies. I've never had a blondie, but I'm sure it's fucking tasty. Look, look, look. I'm a fat ass who just likes baked goods. People always bellyache about picky food eaters. I'm over here like, okay, but if like I'm so annoying as a picky food eater, why am I so fat? Like, I don't eat fish. I don't eat seafood. Most spicy things ain't for me. Why am I so fat? Like, shit you not. Yo, I will murder the hell out of fucking broccoli, carrots, and celery. Like, people will be like, oh yeah, this guy out there never eats any vegetables. And it's like, can't fucking relate. Give me veggies. Do I like meat? Yes, I fucking love meat. But I also like mashed potatoes and fries and beef stew and butter chicken and rice. Yeah, my hovering around is purely because I'm like not exactly sure how to approach the problem at hand. I was vaguely simming this almost said last class, but like I was kind of coming up with. Okay, see, that's an odd one because while I don't dislike spinach, it's an odd one to just be like, I love spinach. Because, I don't know, I have a bad relationship with the leafy greens. And mostly because up until, like, fairly recently in my life, whenever my mother was like, we have a salad for dinner, it's like, oh, wow, she whipped out the romaine lettuce and the Caesar dressing. There we go. We called it a salad. So, like, salads and leafy greens are a thing that I don't like. Which might be why I'm fat. But to be fair, that's mostly because, to me, salads are basically, like, the most obvious of filler food. They're somewhat exaggerated for the health food benefits. So let's get this shit out of the way. I don't really need this shit anymore, so... You know, respect. Is that train still moving? Yeah, it's okay. It's still moving. Good. So I want to leave this general space over here. In fact, I'm going to have to clean it out some. Let's see. Ew. Where are these smart plates going? I don't think they're going into my inventory. Yeah, like, okay. I have a very strong liking for cauliflower and celery. Celery because in terms of like fibrous, you know, you eat it purely for like what it does for your colon, stuff. Fucking celery is delicious. And also it's a good fucking vector for sauces. Like, you can fucking eat like, I could eat 1,000,000 celery just with like a little bit of ranch. I'm not actually sure I've ever had celery with peanut butter, but at the same time, internally I'm like, okay, but that doesn't sound like a bad combo. Like, I've heard people do that. I've just never done that in my life. It's all cleared out. Fuck it. These are all Mark IIs. Hey, evil autism. How goes your day? See. Oh, seriously, where is this all going? Is there perhaps too many dismantled crates in the world? Is it all just going to, like, a dismantled crate not far from here? Is that the dismantled crate where it's all going? I'm gonna fucking go over there and check that. Bruh. I mean, I'm okay with this. Watch the fact that I opened it and took something out of it means that now shit's going to get like shoved into a box near my feet. Ugh. Okay. Since I've firmly tapped into that sulfur in the mountains and don't want to run that line down here, and this is a normal sulfur, I probably can't use much of it. And plus, also, it's kind of annoying to drag it all the way over to where the coal is. But I do have sulfur over to the southeast, so I can work with that versus the coal that's already there. So that makes me kind of tempted to run into the mountains and connect the errant sulfur vein line over here to the crystal one. And if I've got that, then I can justify essentially doing crystal recipes for this particular run. I should probably sim this shit. Satisfactory tools. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Calculator. It's basically what I wanted. That is a lot of shit. But it is predicated on me using the petroleum coke up there. I kind of don't want to use that for this, though. It's a little bit too much annoying shit. So for our inputs, let's remove petroleum coke from the thing. I wish I could get this menu kind of out of the way because it's really fucking massive. Well, okay, that did it. So we've got plastic. We are not using petroleum coke. This is kind of annoying to look at. I should also... Do I not? Yeah, I've got one over here. Let's see, electrode circuit board versus Caterium computer. Since I'm now back to deciphering these slowly, Satisfactory... Alternate recipes. Yeah, okay. Caterium computer is an A. Electrode circ is Caterium computer. Okay. Recipes. I have to, yes, there it is. Silica, okay. So I've been replaying off stream Dispatch because they're like, whatever, I'll play it again and romance Invisigal this time. If only I could romance either Sonar or Phenomenon. I mean, it would be like no challenge who gets like, who gets romance. I'd be like, sorry Invisigal, you're just going to be an Invisipal. Let's see. So at a baseline, what am I making? Copper ore is going into alternate. Iron ore is going into alternate. Yeah, that makes sense. Where do I have... Yeah, so that needs to be corrected a little. Does it though? That can be jacked up to 300 per. So, so 369. I mean, that's fair. So many people want to romance Jacksepticeye. I do find it funny, no, not Jacksepticeye, Moist Critical. I mean, okay, both in those cases, Punch Up would be a wood as well. Even if, like, the implications of him are very much in the domain of this guy punches balls sexually as well. Wait, you didn't know that Punch Up's thing is he punches up into the groin? Or that he was voiced by Jacksepticeye? No, seriously, the burly, like, Irish dwarf quite literally punches people in the nuts as, like, his thing. In, like, the climactic final battle against Shroud, he gets put up against, like, the dude Toxic from the beginning of the game. Oh, sexually. I mean, look, if the dude's thing is to punch people in the balls in a fight, do you think he's going to hesitate to punch you in the balls as, like, like cock and ball torture? That's so clearly his thing. Coded or adhered. Okay, let's see. Where was... There it is. Okay, well. I don't have much use for my rubber otherwise. But yeah, like, that is just like Punch Up's thing. So like, I imagine he's into like, CVT. Yeah. And I'm, of course, assuming that it's just CBT, because, like, look, when you've got, like, a dude who's that tattooed, and then you slap into, like, either bisexual or gay, tattoos around the arms start to have something of a sus reputation in the the quilt bag, alphabet soup community. Which is to say, like, for instance, like, a ring tattoo around, like, your arm is considered a fisting tat. I've heard people basically say this is how far I've ever gone up into somebody's ass. Fisting's one of those things that I don't think I'd ever do. Not to say taking it, up there isn't hot, but seriously, I have limits. I don't want to, like, destroy my hole, if you get my fucking meaning. I choose to love myself. Clearing that out. Then again, I mean, Sonar is adorable, but he does follow into failure man territory because he's a coke fiend. And he's a crypto bro. So, like, it is kind of funny. The majority of people who are, standing him would probably hate him in real life, but I think it's also, like, his, like, dorky persona that we love. I'm just honest about it. Okay, that's a lot of screws, but I'm not really sure if I need screws for anything. Whatever. I've already broken down the rotor machine. It's all, you know, pointless to concern myself about that. Rotato. One sec. Well, let me deal with that clanker. The bands. Getchy Sunburn F. Yeah. And I mean, like, that is kind of the thing, is that, like, Sonar is entirely prefaced off of, like, the fact that he's into finances. His primary crimes are white-collar crimes of fraud. Like, seriously, that's why he's in the Phoenix program. Because he committed, like, fraud and, like, e-harassment. And he will basically be like, have I mentioned I went to Harvard? It's funny too, because like if he gets like down and outed for like a run of like, you know, the Dispatch, one thing Bob will sometimes, or Robert will sometimes do, is like engage in fucking like reverse psychology. Like, would say, like, in the case of, like, Flambe, he'll be like, I can't do it, Robert. And he'll be like, yeah, you really can't. And he's like, what? He's like, well, I mean, if you're just going to be a quitter about it, but, you know, personally, I think you can do it. And he's like, you're doing some reverse psychology thing, Robert, and it's working. And in the case of Sonar, you'll be like, wow, is this the best a Harvard graduate can do? For shame. And Sonar will just be like, fuck you. It's funny because, like, I really enjoyed the shit out of that game. And it's one of those cases where it's like, am I just being my usual hard to displease self, or did I genuinely like the shit out of that game? And I'm pretty sure it's the latter, because normally if I say, you know, I like a character, it really can be just taken as they've done nothing to make me dislike them, and in general, they're either pleasant or funny. You know, like, I've had characters who were initially unpleasant and not funny, and I initially didn't like them, but I grew to like them. But for fucking example, Tosh from Veilguard, I didn't hate her. You know, I enjoyed playing Veilguard. You know, so that makes me like the odd one out in terms of opinions. But fucking you know, I've scarcely had characters where I was just like, no, I don't like this character. I will never like this character. That character is a prick. You know, and like panned a game for it. In fact, to my mind, I can think of mostly like one game that had me like that. And it was Watch Dogs 1. I did not like Aiden, or whatever his fucking name was. I found him, shall we say, up his own ass. Like, okay, maybe that's like the takeaway. But I didn't like the main character of Watch Dogs 1 because his whole, like, entire angst, which he trots out so fucking often is, oh, my niece, she died. Oh, I'm gonna get revenge for my niece. And like, I remember being like, what's this mark on the map? And going to this mark on the map and being presented with what happened, the tragedy that led us to this. It's completely optional to go visit. But it leads to like how she died and, you know, Aiden being at her grave. And at that very moment, his sister is like, can you like can this crap? This is nonsense. Like, we don't need this shit. You know, like, I'm heartbroken that my daughter is dead, but like, we don't need this shit. Okay, that's pure. That's pure. So yeah, I didn't like Aiden Pierce, and it was very hard to be into the game because of him. And thus, like, I ended up not, like, finishing. Like, okay, at that time, Ubisoft games were very formulaic. Like, people bitch about the current RPG era, and, you know, I fucking agree. It's not all that. But, you know, after a while, you've basically played every Assassin's Creed game. As somebody who loved the Assassin's Creed games, I started, like, not playing a bunch of the games along the way because, well, I mean, what's the fucking point? I know exactly what I'm going to play them for. Tower conquering and fucking, you know, like, base infiltration. Like, literally the same shit every time. Climb this tower and go to the viewpoint at the top. Sneak into this base and take it over and shit like that. You know, I did that as like early back as like Assassin's Creed 2. You know, it's fun, but it is not exactly like after you've done it everywheres, you then just have to do the story. Like this, it's very consumable, is what I'm saying. And fucking Watch Dogs basically did all that, got it all out of the way, and then promptly was like, there's nothing left in this game other than the story, and the story does not entice me because the main character does not entice me. I never played 2, mostly because, again, you know, I wasn't enthused by 1, so, you know, lost my viewership. Yeah, I heard Legion was, like, hot garbage. Because they basically sold it on the idea of your character doesn't even have any, like, relevance. Because, like, every time you die in the game, somebody's like, oh shit, I'm part of the rebellion now. I'm radicalized. And it could be anybody from, like, a granny to, like, you know, some thug on the street. It's like, oh, yeah, Did not interest me. Kind of funny that they placed it in England, though. Hey, yay. I mean, I get why the logic works for them placing it in England. Oh yeah, he's over the death after ruining his sister's life. I mean, that's another thing that really bothers me is it's like, oh, yeah. Like, you know, he's basically rightfully harangued into giving up the pursuit. And then, like, finally it's all said and done, but like his sister has to move out of the city. And it's his fault. But I want to say, like, Watch Dogs was in the same era as... Yeah. I mean, you know, personally, if I was from the city that yielded Chicago deep dish, I'd enter a refugee program too. Sorry, it was there. I had to. But yeah, like, I want to say that was the same era that 5 was yielded in. Or not 5. 4. Yes, Assassin's Creed 4 was Black Flag, if memory serves. And, yeah. I did not like Edward Kenway. And the reason is entirely because he's a fucking ne'er-do-well layabout. Like, everything that comes from him, every bit... Yeah, Connor was the fucking best. Yeah, he can be a bit obtuse, but, like, his character growth was fucking fun. And he's obtuse because, well, one, he's, if memory serves, Choctaw? Or is that Mohawk? He's, you know, he's Native American, and... in general, they're like, you know, the Mohawk, I want to say, are like notorious for having that stoic exterior. But like, also, fucking, you know, the dude was basically just learning, like, you know, colonial society. Also, you get such hilarious moments as him basically being involved in the Tea Party and thinking that this will like shape like the economics enough that he doesn't have to do anything more. And then it's told, no, actually it didn't. And he's like, but we destroyed the tea. It's like at that point, it's like Ulysses should have like shown up and been a like chalkboard basics on economics. Also, like, I just really liked the Homestead storyline. Like, all the characters and the storyline of that growth. It was so fucking wholesome. Like, just, you know, Cotter, like, you know, like, building this little found family of people who are, like, you know, moving places for various reasons. Like, I want to say, like, your innkeeps are Quakers, and they're just travelers. Or like the couple having their first child together. The fucking like Irish or Welsh dudes who like run your fucking mill, and like at one point you have to like pull them apart because like they get into a fight. That was frustrating because, like, at the time, I was, like, on keyboard, and there was basically no explanation for how you were supposed to do it. So, like, I'm, like, just rattling at the keys, unsure of what I'm supposed to fucking do, and I'm just like, this is failing over and over again. What's going on? Hey! Are you kidding me? I need you, like, 12 steps back. But yeah, when it comes to like Edward Kenway, I am absolutely a hater. Dude was fucking useless. Like, everything bad that happens to him is somehow, some way, genuinely like a product of his lack of commitment to any aspect of his life. Like, one of his old pals betrays them because they basically did nothing with what they achieved. They literally achieved like a pirate-based society. And what did they do with it? Nothing. They just sat around and fucking like played cards, got drunk, and whored about. And it's like, it was very much a game that seemed to have like most of the cast being like more interesting or compelling as figures. Syndicate was pretty fun, but I didn't really get too far into the story, mostly because I did the exact same thing I described before. Where like, for the most part, I basically just was like, okay, I'm gonna conquer the the factories and sneak into the towers, and oh, I'm done. Also, Evie Fry was just the better of the twins because like I'm not like an overly scrappy player if I can help it. If I can sneak in and do a thing, do a sneaky breaky, I will do it. It is interesting, but that was also about that point, like, where they certainly, like, okay, if the Ezio era was, like, the Templars at their best, then, like, afterwards, after Ezio, they tried to make it clear that the Templars are not perfect and are often prone to, like, their own incompetences that like screw them over. Because like that's basically what happened with like, you know, like say Jack the Ripper or Shay, I want to say his name was, the dude from the sort of midquel game where you're playing as like an ex-assassin turned Templar. And it was quite literally because they bungled some situation and treated it like it was a good thing. And in the RPG era... Yeah, Rogue. Yo. Fucking in the RPG era, it was very well clarified that, you know, while the Templars, or while the Assassins are typically well-meaning, you could place them down as chaos to the Templars' order, and neither really necessarily does what they need to do to keep things working. Like, fucking... In Valhalla, there's, like, old assassin hideouts, and they come from back when, like, the Roman Empire was, like, still established as a thing. So, like, a few centuries back by this point. And, like, some of their writings are like, damn, we're being hunted down for the fuck-ups we did because we were able to get the Romans out of England, but, like, now they're basically, like, eating each other's throats. Which, if memory serves, is a fucking thing that happened historically. Like, after, like, you know, because, like, the barbarian peoples of England did basically, like, viciously retaliate against Roman rule. You know, like, especially with Boadicea and whatnot. One of the novel series that I've read, The Rivers of London, there's basically, like, a villain character in it, but he's like a spirit. He goes by the name Mr. Punch. actually kind of horrifying, because think if like the Joker was like a ghost going around possessing people and playing out the like classic Punch and Judy plays, i.e. a puppet show about two very viciously abusive like people who are spouses. And he's basically just going around finding people in tense moments of their lives and then fucking like mind controlling them and fucking... What the hell? One sec. What the hell? Y'all are still hearing me, right? Okay. Restream was like claiming that it wasn't connected to anything for a moment. Weird. Anyways, yeah, are y'all still hearing me? I figure I should check in on that just to make sure like things are properly working. Okay, good. But yeah, like, okay, so in the Rivers of London series, like the villain Punch, like in the first novel, is basically going around possessing people at tense moments in their lives and then like causing them to viciously like murder family members. Like one of the scenes involves like a spouse couple where like the main character is kind of just there when they like at a disturbance, a domestic disturbance, when like they watch as like a dude literally hucks his baby out the window. The baby did not survive, and then proceeds to like brutally beat to death his wife. And then like when he goes on the run and they chase him down, Mr. Punch depossesses the dude, and the dude promptly dies from violent bleeding from his face. And the reason was because every time he possesses a person, it like horrifically alters their face. Well, later on, it turns out that Mr. Punch is basically like a Roman citizen who was horrifically murdered by the people under Boadicea alongside his daughter. And part of that horrific murder was like essentially ritual torture. And yeah, he became basically like a minor deity of chaos, like because of that. It did not go well for any of the involved parties. That book series is interesting. Little bit weird at times. Little bit paused too. Like the main character's Nigerian English. They kind of like briefly like state that he's basically like mixed. And like kind of move on from that and kind of just treat all of his issues as if he's black. The usual, if you're like dark enough, you're considered just black, and if you're light enough, you may as well just be white. Always found that kind of fucked up, especially because like it's treated as something you're supposed to do. Materials overlapping. What? Please no. Yeah, pretty much. It's like... Oh, that's why. I'm out of encased beams. Fuck. It's like... Yeah, it's quite literally like... If you're like... pale of skin and mixed... Well, you cannot claim your ethnicity. Like, you're literally not allowed to claim it. And people will, like, treat you like shit for it. And even people close to you will act like you're being delusional for, like, having the audacity to, you know, claim your ethnicity. You know, if you're very dark of skin, they'll basically act like you're being delusional for even so much as acknowledging the fact that you are, like, you know, have, like, a white dad or a white mom. Like, oh no, how dare a person, like, acknowledge that they are their roots? Okay. Man. There we go. Maybe that'll fucking help. Well, since I know that this is all going over to that fucking box over there. Or somewheres. Yeah, dismantling stuff that I no longer need. See. Let's see. Let's encase these rocks because I don't need them. Let's see. I suppose I can get by on Modeler. Let's whip this open. It's a smaller sort of thing. Let's see. Not what I need to look at. That's my steel. What was I making here? I can't even remember. All right. So this is a whole other thing, so let's see. Right, adaptive control units. Delete. Let's put these out here. I actually don't need that anymore. Yeah, I won't need that for a good long while, so I'm going to delete that from the requisites. Would you connect? All right, there we go. What about you? All right, you're my aluminum fab. And you over here. Outpost. Let's call this Phase 3 materials. Adaptive control unit. Actually, yeah. Didn't know that was a thing. Okay, so what I need. Let's go with 10 a minute. Actually, so I've got plenty of rubber for doing this. What I need is plates. I don't have the smart plating or the plastic smart plating recipe, so motor. That is an option. Let's, for the shits and gigs, involve that. I have silicon. Okay, yeah, I've got that. So I'm going to got Caterium or circuit board. But I've got the silica, and I probably won't have, you know, a need for the sheets otherwise. So why don't I go with silicon? Why am I clicking that like it's going to do a thing? There we go. Heavy. So I've got all three of those. I have the choices of screws, rubber, industrial beams, modular frame. I hate how that requires so many screws. Let's see. Heavy encased. Now that's not a bad one, but it does mean that I'm gonna have to produce a lot of concrete. Go back over here, OBS. Oh, fuck it. Heavy encased it is. If I don't like the yield, I can always work with other things. Caterium. Caterium might be the best way. Crystal computer. Crystal or Caterium? Let's go with crystal computers. Yeah, pretty much. I could sim this on the website, but honestly, like, that's a lot of work, and it doesn't, and the actual end result's annoying to work with. The website's automatic, so that's, like, the takeaway, is, like, there is a benefit to it, but, you know, I'm basically, like, sussing out what recipes I have, what I can work with, and what I got. So, let's see. Crystal oscillator. Okay, good. I do have the recipe for this. And I feel like the standard crystal oscillator is going to be the ideal setup for this. Because while insulated crystal oscillator is a possibility, I don't have as much rubber output as I think I'd like to have. I don't really... Man, I'm gonna have to go check that out. Actually, before I fuck off and do that, I should... Let's see. Walls, organization, logistics. Yeah, I don't got those. So let's see if I can't buy them from the Awesome Store. There are basically panel boards that you can buy from the Awesome Store that allow you to like be all like, hey, this does this. Yeah, it's a lot of coupons. Customize, organize. Yeah, okay, I want all of these. Get on inventory. Well, while I'm here, boosh, boosh, boosh. Oh no! I guess I'll have to get rid of one of these. There we go.
Where did you leave your lizard doggos? What's in this storage container? Where did you put the essential components needed to save humanity? Do you wish there was text to prevent you from constantly taking the wrong turn? Disguise your struggles to comprehend the complexity of your surroundings with signs.
Is the train moving? Okay, it's moving, but I don't care to wait for it. But yeah, like, with the website, you tell it which recipes you have. In my case, I'm basically like, I'm going from what I ultimately want to make, and making the setup based off of that. It's allowing a more visual organization because like on the website it just like shits it out onto a fucking like a connections map. I forget what the term is for that. It was basically like you're all like this feeds into this and whatnot, and tells you how many like machines you want to build for how much input. And it allows you to very specifically and very, clearly designate what fucking inputs you have. But I'm finding it kind of cumbersome to work with while on stream. I find the modeler is a little bit more stream friendly because I'm having to do this all kind of impromptu. All right. I've got... Actually, this is probably not going to cleverly tell me... Oh, wait, no, I did expand it here. It's the plastic there that I need to account for. So I've got 48 rubber, 48 rubber, 48 rubber, 48 rubber, 48... Okay, a bunch of 32s and 48s. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. 5 times 48. Where's my calculatrice? There's my calculatrice, 5 times 48, which should, of course, yeah, that about sounds right. Just a little bit under 250. So I'm going to... I'm gonna wait for a moment before I put that down, but... There we go. Yeah, that's what I need. So 250 rubber. And 32. 32. 32. 32. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. 5. 5 times 32. 32 plus. $40.834. 2 times 40.834. So I've got 241.668. Let's round down and say that we have at all times 240 rubber and plastic on the make. Actually, let's shave off 10 because I don't know the throughput of my setup. So let's assume that it's not 1-to-1. It's not terrible, but let's not aim for that. Actually, 220 in each case. Change icon. Select that. Go. While I'm here, I should refill on that. No, you cannot be killed by your train, but you cannot phase through it either. You can actually just hop on its top and ride it. And ride inside of it. Yeah, that is an option. Ugh, next time I'm at the store, I'm gonna have to buy some more or leave. My expired aspirin are not really helping with the headache I had before the stream. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not gone, so. And before you come to the concern of expired, generally speaking, at least with over-the-counter medications, just because it expires doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. It just means it's, like, reduced in potency. Plus, you know, both Canada and America's, I want to say health regulation boards don't place harsh restrictions on what fucking expiry dates is supposed to mean. So in most cases, shops just treat them as a way to push new product. Just be like, oop, this is expired. Sorry, can't sell it anymore. You know, you're just gonna have to, like, you know, get new stuff. Or like, oh, that stuff is expired? Oh, clearly it's bad now. It's also known as a sell-by date, which really, ultimately, it's like, it's meant to be for the shops, but like, people will be like, oh no, this is expired, therefore it's bad. Yeah, but aspirin's pretty tame. The amount anybody's ever taking at any given time, you know, is, you know, fucking, not going to threaten your body. You just have to be careful about how much you take beyond that, because you really shouldn't. But also, you know, how often you're taking it. Bitch! I hate you. I hate you so much. Okay, now where was I? Right. I was modeling this until I was like, oh, how much do I got? Now see, doing the alternative oscillator actually, is that one? Insulated oscillator. I guess it is an option. It does produce faster. But my rubber is not exactly like a lot. Whatever. Open. AI limiter. No, I'm not gonna do with that one. The reason I don't want to deal with that one is because there is no Caterium node over this far into the area. Now, unless firmly desperate, I really do not want to have to fuck with stretching a Caterium node all the way from over there. But that actually isn't that far from this view. And I haven't tapped into the Caterium node over here. There's technically two very close to you in the grasslands. one over here, which honestly is a frustration because it requires you to have bombs. But I have bombs in a video game. Fuck off. Ha! Loser. All right, so that is an option now. I've accessed it. I could run it up here and along here and over there. And if that's the case, I could produce the foil and bring it over. But at the same time, that is still rubber. Whatever. We'll figure it out as we go along. Okay, yeah. Okay. Let's connect these here. Yeah, let's just assume that I've got... that much rubber on the make. Cheap silica. I could actually fucking make that. Dude, I got that actually. Silica. I do got cheap silica. And concrete is really not hard to come by. Actually, speaking of which, what? No, wait, no. Concrete? What recipes I got for you? Rubber concrete. I'm probably going to need a lot of concrete is the thing. So I'm actually going to, I'm probably going to, because I've got a lot of silica to work with is the thing. So like, it's probably better to work the other way around than it is, that. Actually, speaking of recipes. I never did set that up to fucking do the thing. How about steamed plates? Wait, actually, no, I know I have that. So, steamed copper. And let's go with regular silica. Bruh, you barely need that much. Yeah, okay, I'm good. Let's go with fine concrete. Yeah, like, notice how these numbers, like, you probably can't see them. Yeah, you can't see them. One sec. Okay, you still can't see that. Okay, so like, because you can't see that, I'll just elucidate. So you never really need that much silica. And the number is like, when you put stuff into this, it will basically tell you how much you need to produce and how much you need, like how many like machines you'll need to produce it. And you can fine tune your outputs based off of the amount of machines, the overclocking or underclocking, and the the actual output you want. So that's basically what it's doing kind of automatically for me. But the thing is, it only requires like not even a full machine to produce the amount of silica I would need to supply a fair chunk of this stuff. So let's see. Limestone. You wouldn't even need very much limestone. Um, I've got encased. I only have encased industrial, so let's go with that. Ugh. So I barely need a full machine for the foil for this. Okay. Actually, delete that. Connect here. What's connecting this? All right, yes, okay. Uh, to be perfectly honest, I can probably get away with not really needing to set up the encase thing because I've already got a feed of concrete coming from elsewhere. So let's get rid of that and put that here. Not in terms of like my actual play file, but like basically, you know, I do have like the fabs set up to like output a lot of this stuff. What I need is, let's see, crystal, quartz crystal. I only have the basic recipe, so I need that. Raw quartz. And there we go. Like, I'm literally not even tapping fully into my supply. AI limiters. Not really tapping into that too terribly hard. Let's go here. Okay, that will require 2 machines now. But Caterium ingots, tempered wire, fused wire. Ah, damn it. I don't have the fused quick wire recipe. So I'm doomed to have to take that one. But it's not really all that bad because you only require 2 machines for that. Not even a whole lot. Deuterium ingots. Deuterium ore. There we go. This shit's all there. This shit's all there. It feels complex when it's put like that, but you kind of just have to figure out what you're doing and go from there. I might even actually redo these over here, because why not? Actually, yeah. Get rid of these. Outpost. Assume secondary materials like this will be made at this outpost. Secondary and tertiary. Stators. So I have the quick wire with pipes option of stators, which means that I might actually tap into that. Because why not? Let's see, rotors. I have all 3 recipes for the rotors. No, not that one. I don't think I'll take that one. Let's go with steel rotors. And you know what? Let's undo this one and make it stators. I don't have that option. Did that like... Okay, yeah, connected. Wiring. I only have the basic automated wiring. Let's see. Also, what's that over at the ma'am? Oh! Yeah, I'm taking that. Quick wire. Sometimes found in deuterium. All right, I'm not doing deuterium crystal. Ah. AI limiter. Okay, yeah. Outpost. Let's go with stitched iron plating, which does basically mean that I'm making a fuck ton of I might actually shift to the stators made from quick-wire. Yeah, I'll do that. Hey, connect into this. Why won't you? There we go. Delete. 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 Let's simplify that down to oil. There we go. Everything's being fed in some way, shape, or form. You know, actually, delete. 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 I'm leaving this all blank because I already have 150 rubber on the make, so I don't need to do anything particularly special for that. You know, it's already there. 250 is already there. I'm not really touching anything, so what? No. Clear that. Okay, so wait, why are you outputting pipes? You don't have pipes. This will not have pipes. Clear. Clear connection. Clear it. Fine. But let's gonna be where all my raw resources come from. Let's definitely probably gonna be where all my copper foil comes from because it's like steady access of water. And probably gonna be where I get my oscillators from. Do I not? Do I only need pipes? Where is this coming from? Ah, yes. Okay. I only have industrial encased beams. I have fused quickfire as an option. I have steel pipes as an option. I'm not sure I want to do petrol coked steel because coked, products are what I'm going to have to work with. So I am, however, probably going to make compacted coal. Let's see. Wait, no. What? Wait. Oh, one sec. Compacted steel ingots. What recipes I got for steel beams? Molded steel beams. That is not actually that much. Compacted coal. Sulfur. Impure. Coal. Pure. I've got 2 normal nodes up there, at the very least, actually. Yeah, I've got these ones. Okay, these. Impure, impure, temp. Okay, that's a glitch. Normal, normal. One sec. I only got the 1 machine. Thank you. I don't know why it automatically assumes I've got 2. Iron ore. Normal. So I'm not really hurting if I do the compacted coal route. That just means I'd have to have, like, a bunch of fucking machines. Also, I'm sorry this has been kind of like a dull experience stream. Yeah, because I'm, like, sussing out what I need to do. Let's see. I could probably justifiably run a fine concrete line. I've got that coming from here. Got that from somewheres here. Got the one. Okay, so I've got Caterium. Caterium ingots. As for... Let's go with copper alloy. Copper iron. Anything I desperately need from elsewhere, because it's all coming from this general vicinity. You know, you can think of this as this here as like this area of the grasslands. This will probably be the middle area. This will be up here. Wire. That is... Oh shit, that's a lot of wire. Why do I need that much wire? What's going on? Oh. Clear connection. Where is the AI limiter being made? That's a pretty reasonable amount. But if I'm doing that, I probably might not do that. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it this way. Yeah, that's going to be a lot. That's going to be a fuckload. Fourth crystal, not really all that bad. Rock quartz. Pure. Basically 2 machines, and those are dealing fine. Yeah, really what it comes down to is my choices are... What is most efficient? I'm basically trying to decide on whether I should have a setup for the crystal oscillators over here, where all of my Caterium comes from. Because I can use that to make Caterium Quickwire, which can be used to make, the AI limiters. And with a bit of my rubber, I could then turn around and make my crystal oscillators. But if I don't want to dedicate the crystal oscillators, I can just have the whole installation, or like if I don't want to dedicate that to making my crystal oscillators, I can just make them over to like here there's about, or there's abouts, using the wire that I'll make from copper and the crystal. But like I need cables, and as you can see, it's already like a lot of wire. A lot of wire. I could wait, wire. I don't have iron wire. Fuck. Caterium wire would be an option. And that produces, if that's the case, I could just get gone. Delete that again. That kind of still means that like I'd have to run rubber from about here all the way over here. And well, I've got the quick wire and I could make the foil. It would be kind of a nuisance. And I'd still have to run crystal from all the way over here. So I might, for the sake of placement, keep my crystal oscillators up over here. So yeah, I'm going to keep that over here. And if that's the case, I can get away with running Caterium up here. It wouldn't be that awful. I'd just tap into this line and maybe run it this way. Because, actually, that's not a bad choice. It's like, it's doing all of nothing over there. Yeah, it really is just coming down to logistics. But if I run the Caterium back down and around, you know, through the mountains, secret tunnel, you know, it's like nice and out of the way, but it also means that I've got a Caterium line at two ends of the grasslands. And that is not a bad choice. All right, then. Trying to keep it off the ground as much as possible, because if I must run a conveyor belt up and through the mountains, I don't totally mind, but it does basically mean that I'm going to have to make some special considerations. Like how to get it over top of the train without it, like, you know, being ugly. Loser. It's funny, so like after playing through Dispatch, I've been periodically watching certain videos, and it's kind of hilarious how like obsessive some people have gotten about it, in that like, you know, like apparently this like mad hatedom for like either love interest, like a mad like a you shouldn't have picked Blonde Blazer, you should have picked Invisigal. You shouldn't have picked Invisigal, you should have picked Blonde Blazer. And like massively like, you know, character assassinating the two characters, even though like neither is necessarily a bad choice. And you're not necessarily treating either of them poorly for making a choice. Like, bruh, yo. Is Invisigal my first choice? No, because like, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of the love interest who you have to like get them to stop being like a crude asshole, which is 90% of like what's with, you know, like Invisigal. Like, you notice that she kind of stops being as obnoxious as like she like genuinely starts to grow to like Robert. Like, if you didn't fucking like work, if she didn't work with you a little bit, I don't think I'd ever like be willing to romance her. But like, by the time she's like, you know, getting her initial romance scene, i.e. the movie theaters, she's not as obnoxious anymore. Also, I said this on Discord elsewhere. She may in fact be bae after all. Because I fucking love Sour Patch Kids. They're so fucking good. And if you don't have those in Germany, they're literally little jelly children covered in sour powder. Bye? What? No, I said bae. B-A-E. It's a slang term for like baby, as in like my baby, not like your like infant baby, more like your you know, your girlfriend bae or your boyfriend bae. I don't know. It's like, it's one of those cases where it's like, I played the game and no matter how much the game tried to be like, hey, you should like ostracize Invisigal because she's a fuck up and she's potentially evil. I'm like, okay, but if she were actually evil, she would have dipped at this point. Like, whatever role she might have had, she would have dipped at this point. Though it is kind of hilarious that a lot of people thought they, like, got a bugged game or something like that because, like, they played through the game, barely mentored her at all, but just, like, simped for her, and she still got her bad ending. It's like, no, you actually have to do more than that. Like, I ended up getting the ending because, well, like, as much as I didn't romance her, I basically was like, okay, she's clearly my speedster hero, and she could be built to be a smarty pants, so let's work with that. And surprisingly ended up using her a lot because, like, oftentimes it'd be like, oh, well, I need a speedster for this. Prism's smart, but she's more of my smart and charismatic. Yo, Sonar's currently in his bat form, so I can't really make use of that. Okay, there we go. I need to just connect it, and I have Caterium over here, which I can turn into wire, I can turn into whatever. Near as I could tell with Invisigal, the thing about, like I looked into it a bit, and the thing about it is that, like, it's not that her ending is hard to get. It's that there is a point structure behind it that is not purely found in, like, the interactions. Because that's usually how it went with, like, Telltale games, is that, like, it was usually like, oh, they will remember this, and, you know, basically flags. But the thing is, in the case of this one, they've been a bit more complex with it. It's not immensely complex, but it is a bit more complex. They're basically like, okay, in addition to, like, certain, like, interaction points in the story, you know, you will also gain points for basically, like, you know, mentoring her properly. So, like, sending her off on successful missions, sending her off to be trained, you know, basically actively making use of her in the field. I want to say, like, somebody did the math and broke it down and figured out that it's like you need 40 points to get the good ending. And you get a point for every mission you sent her on, and something like 5 points for just, like, training her. And you also get points for, like, supporting her at various, like, areas of the story. And because while I didn't romance her, I still was like, look, I'm going to give you a shot, even if you're, like, a jerk, you know, and, like, befriend you and believe in you. Like, that's kind of the thing, is, like, people kept trying to be like, throw her off because she did a thing. It's like, okay, but she did a thing that, like, was ultimately for a good cause. And while it was a fuck up and did get somebody hurt, you know, that somebody also probably would have done that for anybody. You know, like, Chase, i.e. Trackstar, is that kind of man where if somebody was in desperate need in front of him, he would have done that. That's just his nature. curmudgeon as he may come across, he absolutely would have done that. You know, does it necessarily, you know, excuse her fuck up that led to that situation? No. But it was a well-meaning one. And as much as people try to be all like, oh, well, you know, she's evil, and Shroud's all like, I made her a plant. It's all like, okay. So why didn't she personally give you the fucking, you know, the fucking thing? Because that's all you needed. That's all you fucking wanted. She didn't give you the, you know, the stellar core thing. Astral core, you know, because she wanted, yeah, the astral pulse, like, it, like, just takes a very little amount of observation to be like, oh, actually, no, she ain't evil. There's something ulterior here, but she is well-meaning. It's just, girl does not think her choices through. Hey, Val. Okay, where was I? So, I should maybe expand this up a bit. No. There we go. A little bit more visible. Can't see most of the screen, but I'm gonna like be sitting here for a moment, sussing out what I got, so. Okay. Right. Let's go with quick wire. Okay. Actually. Honestly, at this point, if I'm basically going to have fucking, you know, if I'm going to tap into my rubber for that, I may as well. Okay. Insulated. AI limiter. Deuterium ore. Clicking all over the place. So don't need very much of that. Oh, just 3 machines. Oh yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect. Pure. I only have the 1 for this, though. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Gonna make actual proper wire for that. Copper alloy. quick wire. Used quick wire. Okay. Scaterium fused wire. I'm gonna go with iron alloy. Iron. Iron. Copper. I only got the one. No, don't exit out. Copper. No, no. No, stop, stop. Okay, so I need... Let's go with that. All right. This is looking like it'll work. Everything's got a connection. Now, where to start? Let's call that basic, bitch. Go away. Let's probably start with the steel fab. What's that called? Iron fab. Steel fab. Because that doesn't really require a whole lot of things, but it does require me to set up a bunch of things. Actually, no. I'm going to set up the basic bitch. The reason for that being because I need a lot of the things out of this. So I've got the machines. Okay, so got that. That. I'm never using these again. So these are going. Oh, the configuration of this is gonna be horse shit. You ever do a thing in a game that feels like it's going to be so ornery that you're like, oh, this is actually making me question, benching this game for a bit? Because I'm just like, oh, yeah, no, this is the part that I'm like, now I'm going to suffer. Because I now have to come up with a way to get this all like neatly like oriented. Because you'd think, oh yeah, that's a lot of space. One of the requests for this like automatically generated numbers is where is it? 12 fucking constructors just to make all of the fucking the bloody wire that I will fucking need. So even before I factor in I might actually, because I've got a game plan for later, might actually end the stream a bit early. Because I'm like, oh yeah, my mind's not wanting to process that right now. So I'm gonna like check, is Bo up? Yeah, Bo is up. Raid. Don't slash ban your own boyfriend. Okay. Thank you all for tuning in. Yeah, I'm sending off to Marshall Beaumont. Tomorrow I'll be back with Where Winds Meet, finally. I hope you tune in for that. I hope you enjoy the Chinese gacha game with awesome gameplay. But yeah, not sure, because I am starting to feel the stress on Satisfactory, so I may bench that for a bit. We shall see. But for now, that's just I'm sending you off to Marshall. I'm going to get food and probably study for my course for the rest of the evening. So thank you for tuning in. I have been PaladinAshe, and I am signing off.